Are you tired of riding the monthly emotional roller coaster? Or maybe you're worried about your age. Maybe you're feeling beat up with your body betraying you when all you want to do is hold your baby in your arms. I'm Dr. Karen, and I have a vision. It's that every woman who desires to have a baby can and does. I help women like you realize that your history is not your destiny. I reveal powerful, practical, yet often neglected details that you can use to reclaim your body's natural wisdom, bridge the mind-body connection, and turn your baby-making possibilities into probabilities. Hello and welcome to the Pregnancy Success Podcast. I'm Dr. Karen, and thanks for being here again this week. This is where I get to help you reclaim your body's innate, natural wisdom so that you can turn your dream of having a baby into reality. Today I'm going to talk about water. You can find the link on my website, www.thebabymakinggenius.com, or in the show notes at the bottom of the page. So let's dive right in. Did you know that by the time you feel thirsty, you are already dehydrated? And this dehydration could be hurting your fertility as well as your energy and your mood, and you won't even realize it. In fact, some studies show that mild dehydration, just 1 or 2%, can affect not only your hormone balance and your circulation, but how you think and function. This is a really big deal, especially if you're trying to conceive, because it'll impact all the way down to your reproductive organs. You see, I've seen this firsthand, both in my own life and the lives of the women that I work with. And today I'm going to share with you 3 stories to show you that shifting how much water you drink can be a powerful effect to improving and optimizing your fertility. So stick with me to the end of this episode, and we're going to think about how we drink water very differently. I use the water as one of my body basics. So the first body basic being the breath. You can only live minutes without breath. And I stated previously that the quality of your breath dictates the quality of your life. Well, the same is important with water, because how can you live if you don't drink any water? Yes, that's no water. You're only going to live for about 3 days. But the emphasis is on the fact of being aware how it impacts how well we function by the amount of water that we drink. So for me, when I was training for a half marathon, learning how to run, well, yes, I know how to run, but learning how to run in a half marathon situation, I wasn't having the success that I wanted. Once I got to about 10 kilometers, I just plateaued for longer than I was told by my run trainer partner. And when I looked at what I was doing and dove deep into what I was eating and how I was managing those pieces as well as the training schedule, I looked at another piece that really, no one pointed out to me. I guess it's supposed to be common sense, although common sense nowadays is not terribly common. And that was, I started looking at how much water I drank. I know that I wasn't drinking coffee or tea. I was avoiding juices because I knew they could be dehydrating. But the total amount of water that I was drinking, I didn't think it was enough. So I started increasing that. And I was amazed at how much better my body performed. I was also amazed at how well I could think and function and feel. So our water intake, the amount that we actually ingest, is really critical for our overall health and well-being. So the average woman's body is about 60% water. And when you break that down, that's because our bones are quite dense, they're more solid, so they only have about 30%. But our brain is 80%. Our heart is about 75%. Our lungs are higher at 80 to 90%. And our blood volume, the red blood cell itself is about 60, 65, in keeping with the fact that it's surrounded by water. When you look at a baby's body, and we know that men and women are different, but a baby's body is 80% water. Wow. So we want to make sure that we work well with our water intake because we want to have that cognitive function, metabolism, and our fertility improved. And there's studies that show that dehydration can impair fertility up to 20 to 30%. 20 to 30%. That's a big number, especially if you're a woman over 40 and you're looking at using some assisted reproductive technologies. Having that boost with a great water content in your body by your hydration status is critical. Other studies, the National Institute for Health in the US in 2022 showed that 75% of all US citizens who took the survey said that they were chronically dehydrated. 75%, it's a big number. A UK study in 2019 showed similar information. And in 2024, the National Health and Nutrition Survey in the US also reported, so a more current study, only a year old, showed that over 50% of children ages 6 to 9 were mildly dehydrated. This I find astonishing. Similar statistics are here in Canada. This is where I'm located. Canadian interesting tidbit, as well as anywhere northern US where there's colder climates, winter, where there's potentially snow on the ground or things freeze. You're not thinking about taking in more water because it's not hot out. You may not be perspiring the same, but it's a climate time frame where that season is quite dry. And Canadians, especially in the winter, report 60 to 70% in 2024 that they were drinking a lot less in the wintertime because they're not thinking about it. So your hydration is critical. And so when I dived a little bit deeper into this, just to see what else is out there from there's the science and the statistic data, but what's out there from the fertility aspect? And I came across a US American Board OBGYN, and she had published in the Natalist almost 2 years ago now, the importance of hydration when trying to get pregnant. And let me read from you the excerpt from what was on her article. What does good hydration look like? Water makes up 2/3 of the adult body and close to 80% of the newborns. Water is essential for digestion, body temperature regulation, balancing chemicals, and transporting nutrients. Without water, our organs wouldn't be able to properly function. And when you're trying to conceive, it's important to nourish the body in all the ways possible to create that healthy environment for a fetus to thrive. Yeah. And if you're trying to conceive, try to drink at least 6 cups of water a day to stay hydrated. And she goes over some good signs of hydration. So this is really great pieces of information. I'm not putting down Western medicine. However, she talks about 6 cups. She does say at least. However, that is probably the right number for a woman who is 110 pounds, 120 pounds if she's not very active and is quite sedentary in her life and eats a lot of well-balanced diet. So therefore, she's getting a couple of cups of liquid water hydration through her nutrition. Because the average woman who is about 60 pounds should be drinking, who is 160 pounds, should be drinking half her weight in pounds in ounces. So a 160-pound woman should be drinking 80 ounces of water a day. So there's 8 ounces in a cup, that's 10 cups. 10 cups. Yes, that's a 160-pound woman. So a 140-pound woman, when you divide 140 divided by 2 is 70. Well, that's still only 9 cups. Sorry, my calculation's down here. 9 cups. And a 120-pound woman, 120 divided by 2 is 60, and that is 7.5 cups. Yes, you're probably getting a cup and a half of water, but she's quoting a 120-pound woman. She's in the US. For goodness sakes, if you're reading this directly, it really is not enough. So the formula, which I found for ideal hydration for the average person, is your weight in pounds divided by 2, and that is the number of ounces that you should drink a day. That varies as well. If you're drinking things like coffee, tea, fruit juices, these can dehydrate you. The sugar needs to be, can help you spill out a lot of extra water because you want to dilute that sugar. So that's more water. So at 140 pounds, drinking 9 cups of water, are you drinking another cup or 2 a day to do that? 10 cups, that's a lot for some women. I've tried to do that recently with where I am with my weight, and it can be a challenge getting 10 cups of water in a day besides eating nutritiously because I wasn't hungry. So it's a balancing act. When I exercise, well, I'm sweating, so I need to drink more. So it's really important to know that we do eliminate different amount of water in our body different ways. So just from regular breathing, from just being alive, even sedentary, sitting on your butt at work and you're really not much of an exerciser, maybe some walking, maybe not terribly brisk, you are eliminating through your breath, through the breathing, it's called evaporation, 2 cups. 2 cups, that's a lot, 500 mils. From sweating, so if you're working out, the more you work out, the more you sweat, and therefore you're going to lose on average 1 to 2 cups. If you're exercising more, then that number goes up. In your poop, you eliminate through elimination about not quite 1 cup. So yes, even if it's not loose, formed stool, you're getting rid of about 150 to 200 mils, so just shy of a cup a day. And then the rest, you'll pee out. And so I know women who don't want to go to the bathroom very often. It's frustrating, it's a nuisance, it's impairing with regards potentially work. However, what would you love? Tell me, what would you love in your life? If you would really love to have a baby, could you? Would you, for 6 months, maybe even a year, shift that water balance so that you're in a better area to make a difference? Because there are other hidden effects on the reproductive tract that you may not be aware of, especially if all of your life you haven't been drinking a suitable amount of water, that you are still on that chronically mildly dehydrated level. And that's the hormone balance. So because your brain, remember I said your brain is 80% water. Well, yes, the egg is released off the ovary, but the hormones that control that feedback loop come from the hypothalamic pituitary axis. So that's in the brain. And it's really, really important to make sure that we are having proper balance. So if you are not having great water balance, great hydration, reproduction is not a vital organ. Reproduction is not a vital activity to life. Eating or breathing, running, getting away from the saber-toothed tiger, we talked about that before. Those are critical things. So your heart and lungs and your muscles to be able to get away are really, really important. Secondary muscles, like your digestive tract. So, you see the bear in the woods, if it turns to start chasing you and you're running, you're not going to drop and squat to have a poop. So it's really, really important to know that we want to have optimal hormonal balance, so that keep drinking extra glasses of water. And as an example, let's have a little bit more. Your cervical mucus is really important. And I know a lot of women find it a nuisance. There's so much of it. It's just ick. However, your cervical mucus is critical. It transports those beautiful little sperm up through the cervical canal and allows that to do its proper thing. So great quality cervical mucus is really, really important. So we want to make sure you're well hydrated, because if you are dehydrated, then that cervical mucus is thick and becomes more like a plug, and it prevents anything from getting in. And maybe you wonder why, if everything is testing normally and you may have unexplained fertility on your part, what's going on with your water balance? Egg quality, another piece, really, really important. And that helps, the hydration helps keep the mitochondria and all the pieces of the egg, so your egg quality is impeccable, as well as your uterine lining. We want to have that fertilized egg implant into a beautiful, nice, thick, lush uterine lining so that that fetus can continue to grow, that embryo can become a fetus and continue to grow. And so just as numbers for those of you science geeks, because I did look them up, eggs, depending on the different publications, are anywhere between 75 to 90% water. Your cervical mucus is 90+% water. We won't leave the boys behind. So guys, if you're not watching, gals, bring them into the conversation. Sperm are about 80% water. And seminal fluid is the same, over 90%, can be as high as 98% water. So if it's thick, if it's globular, if it's sticky, it's just not going to go anywhere besides get into the vagina when you're having intercourse. So that's not what we want. And did you know that your embryo, that developing fetus, is 90% water? The placenta is 80% water. So if you're thinking about, well, my body is average and my average body has about 60% water, so I only need about 6 glasses of water a day, really dive in to that. What's your exact weight in pounds, divide it by 2, and get your number. And if you exercise, higher altitude, if you're a coffee drinker, you want to balance that with what you eat, as far as things that can dehydrate you and activities. Studies from natural family planning, as well as mainstream medicine, as far back as the 1970s, show that dehydration can affect ovulation. A more recent study by B. Torkin in 2021 really showed that dehydration can delay ovulation as well as disrupt menstrual cycles. And there's all sorts of studies out there, just pages and pages, when I saw that proper hydration can improve your cycle quality and quantity, minimizing the flow, decreasing the pain. So that means that hormonal feedback is more optimized so that you're having that nice, lush, thick lining. The hormones are balanced. You've got great egg quality and wonderful cervical mucus. So you're just inviting in. You're more open and receptive to receiving what's going on. And I know this can be challenging because one of my clients, Betty, had the same challenge. She was in her early 40s and was having recurrent pregnancy loss, had a couple of them. She was a workout girl. She had a regular yoga practice. She didn't have too strenuous a job, a little bit sedentary at that, but she was otherwise active with her hubby. She loved to get out and ski and dance, and they did all sorts of other fun activities together. And so she was wondering what was going on. So when she had an assessment and we spoke about kind of what she's doing, one of the things that she made a difference in was the volume of water that she drinks, because she does love her coffee. She loves her 2 to 4 cups of coffee, and I mean big mugs. So when you're looking at a 1 cup, 250 ml measure, she was probably having 5 cups to 6 cups easily a day. And so you want to balance that. You want to take a step back. She ate quite healthy. As I said, she had a very active lifestyle outside of work and a yoga practice. But making the shift with the water really made a difference, because that's that time when she got pregnant again, and that one stuck, as she says, to quote her. And so she was quite delighted when she made such a simple change. And it's not hard to do. Just count, keep track. How much water do you take in the run of a day? And so what does it look like to be mildly dehydrated? If you've been chronically dehydrated, you might not have noticed. But over time, as we age, our responses and physiology are a little bit more impaired. So maybe you're noticing them now as the years go by. and that's that tiredness or fatigue. For me, when I'm not drinking a lot of water, I have the brain fog come back. Some people describe mood swings, headaches. Definitely when I was training for the marathon, the muscle cramps, especially in the legs. Absolutely. When I hydrated and didn't do anything else different, the muscle cramps alone went away. You also have an elevated heart rate and potentially a lower blood pressure. So all of these things are, when your body knows that it's kind of moving into that phase of dehydration, it takes a shift out of that rest, digest, manifest, create mode of making a baby to, oh, we got to get in a little bit of that freeze, fight, and flight. So when you're a little bit dehydrated, your cortisol goes up. This is bad for fertility. And besides all the stuff with the cervical mucus, your circulation can be a little bit more sluggish, poor egg quality, poor sperm transport. So it's not just us girls. Boys, you've got to up the water ante as well. So when I was in OB-GYN training, I was pregnant, finally, with my first. And I remember being about 26 weeks pregnant, might have been 28, and I was in the operating room. And of course, you're going in for a 3 to 4 hour procedure. I'm pregnant, the belly's pressing on my bladder. I don't want to be leaving to go to the bathroom, just concerned of what appearances would be like if I have to step out often. I don't want any special treatment. And when all was said and done, absolutely. That day, I remember vividly. I'm in the OR, my body, my pregnant belly is resting a little bit on the OR table because it just happened to be for the right height for the surgeon. It was the right height for me too. And I was leaning in doing my assisting because I really wasn't doing much as the second assist in the procedure, an open abdominal procedure that was going to take about 3.5 hours. So I cut down on how much water that I had that day. About an hour before going into the OR, I stopped drinking. I had a little bit less that morning. It was the first surgery of the morning as well. So not a lot of time to get more than maybe 2 cups, maybe 3 cups of water into me. Definitely not a liter. And we're an hour and a half into this procedure, and I'm getting hot. And I'm just thinking, oh my goodness. And I can't do any of this stuff because you're sterile, because we're in the middle of a surgery. And shifting, because I'm getting uncomfortable. The leg cramps have started. And the physician asked me if I'm okay. And I look up to him and said, yes, Dr. So-and-so, I'm okay. And the next thing I know, 5 minutes later, I'm sitting on a stool in the corner of the room. Someone's taken the gown, the mask, the hat off. The other nurses come in and started fanning me, putting a cold cloth on the back of my neck, asking me, Dr. Stillman, are you okay? So in the process of all that, yes, I almost passed out in the operating room because I didn't drink enough water that day. I had breakfast, but I didn't have enough water. So it is imperative that we drink enough water. But how do we drink enough water? Like if you're wondering, how do we get this volume of water into you? Well, I have some easy hacks to help you with that. And the first thing to do is, once your feet touch the floor and you start your day into the bathroom to pee, load up on 2 glasses of water. 2 big glasses of water, ice cold if you are looking to jumpstart your metabolism for the day, if you're looking to help release a little bit of weight because your body has to heat that water up. So 2 glasses of morning right away makes a big, big, big difference. Carry around a water bottle with you all day, and you can use an elastic band on the water bottle to track that, how many of these water bottles this size do you have to drink in the run of the day? So then did I refill it once or is this twice? So you know how much there you have had. If you don't measure it, it doesn't happen. So track your water intake. Make a log. Use an app. There's all sorts of things out there to help you manage this piece of what's going on with your health and wellness. And as I said earlier, you want to match your coffee, your juices, alcohol, which I don't recommend, with your water. And one thing that's really important, people say to me, I just don't like the taste of water. Well, I would invite you to change your mindset about that and learn to love the taste of water, or that water is the best beverage that I get to drink every day. Whatever affirmation, mantra, shift that you can make, because the important pieces in here is how you perceive the water is really important. I know a lot of women are drinking a lot of the carbonated water because you can pick up the machine and carbonate at home. And I love the fizzy water and it's so great. However, fizzy water is carbonated water. So that means it's a different pH level and it's not as great for the body as you may think. So even though you're getting more water into you, it's not the best water to be ingesting from the carbonated piece. So if you can remove some of that out of your lifestyle, that would be another big help. A pro tip, one thing that I recommend is a little pinch of salt, just an itty bitty pinch. Because if you taste the salt in a water bottle that you refill, especially if it's a 750 1.2 liter, personal water device that you carry around with you day in and day out, that pinch of water, you shouldn't pinch of salt in your water. You shouldn't taste the salt. And the benefit of that as well is that you have some electrolyte balance going on, just to make sure that you're hydrating well, because it's rare for someone, unless you have a different medical condition, just to drink too much water and make yourself ill. But the salt trick is a great balancer. You can also use an electrolyte mixture. If you don't really need it for any body changes with regards to stomach flu or otherwise going on, you might just want to have that 50-50 as your water, or 1 parts of the electrolyte mix and the rest of water, so you get your water flavored. Really, really important and helpful. Coconut water is an excellent source of finding the electrolytes and a great way to get water into and have a different taste. And you can use other things like squeeze of lemon, lime, whatever. I know people who use cucumber because it's very refreshing. So you want to make sure that you take a moment to do all that. So what I would love to challenge you today is to drink 2 extra glasses of water every day for the next week and see how you feel, as well as do the measure out, see what is your ideal water intake amount for yourself, and track it, because metrics matter. If you're not tracking it, you can't make changes to it. So you don't know if you're drinking enough, too much, spot on. So really, really, if it's really important you to have a baby for the next week, try it and see. It's just for shits and giggles, as my mom used to say. What will make a difference? And so I would really like to thank you all for being here again this week. It's always great to be here with you, and I love the time that we spend together. As I said, drink half your weight in water this week. Log it. See what it is. See how much you're taking in. See what that ideal number is for you. And then until we meet again next week, please remember to set your thermostat, because your history is not your destiny. And if you need to, borrow my belief, because I believe in you. See you next week. Reclaim your body's natural wisdom with me, Dr. Karen. My goal is to help you awaken, align, and amplify your mind-body connection to transform your fertility. Find free worksheets, instructional videos, our Facebook group, and more, including details on booking a free discovery session where we can create your personalized, beautiful baby blueprint today and get you closer to holding your baby. It's all online at www.thebabymakaginggenius.com.
All content provided by Dr. Karen Stillman is not intended to replace medical help or advice from your doctor or healthcare provider. All content, including medications and visualizations, shall be regarded as self-help. Dr. Karen Stillman accepts no responsibility for any injury, loss, or damage as a direct or indirect result of using or relying on the information presented here, as she is not offering medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. Please see our full terms and conditions and privacy policy on the website at www.thebabymakaginggenius.com.